it seemed like early in the week, this was like the reason the Deadpool stuff was announced was to be sort of the sugar before the medicine. When we got the news that Blade might be broken right now, man. Blade might be broken. It has lost its previous director. MCU Blade has lost its previous director, Bassam Tariq. He's stepping down as the director for the film. There's talks that Mahershala Ali is upset with the process. And this would also explain why we haven't really heard a hell of a lot about the film. Because every time there's news about other new projects, everyone's like, yo, but what about that Blade, though? Like what's going on with Blade? Like, y'all been real hella quiet about Blade now. Who's writing, who's directing, who's acting, who else is in the cast? And, we got nothing at this Comic-Con. We got nothing at D23. And I'm like, yo, what the hell? And there was confusion on it going into production. It was supposed to be going into production this November, and now the director, Bassam Tariq, has dropped out. There was a rumor that there is script issues. It was saying like there's like 2 lackluster action sequences. Mahershala Ali is frustrated with the process, and it sounded a mess. It definitely sounded a mess. We got that going on, and I'm very disappointed to hear this because I was very excited about Blade. But once again, like I said, is it going to be rated R? Because if it ain't rated R, they can keep that shit. And I think that might be one of the things that's hurting this film is they're trying to make it not rated R, and it's just not hitting like it needs to be. Mahershala Ali is said that he was the one that talked Kevin Feige into not only doing a Blade movie, but casting him as Blade, which, if he's excited to play the role, that's great to hear. And if Kevin Feige is going to do something serious, once again, I don't need to see a lame PG-13 vampire movie. When has there ever been a good PG-13 vampire movie? You can't really name too many. Or PG-13 or PG, can't name really too many. So they need to get it together. They had one writer, they were saying script issues, they had one writer, Stacey Osei Kufu, who was attached, and then apparently there's a new guy that they attached, Bo DeMeo, who's worked on other MCU projects. He's now attached to helping write this, but they need a new director. The film is supposed to be coming out November 3rd, 2023. I don't know if it's going to make that time. They should probably push the date back a little bit, especially if they still need to find a new director. I want to talk about some people who could potentially be new directors for the Blade film. This got my juices flowing. Because when they first announced Bassam Tariq, I was like, who the fuck is that? Most people have not heard of this guy, which is sort of the classic MCU thing that Feige does. It's like, who's a director that people don't know or has a little bit of buzz? Let's get them in. We can still pay them for less. We can also still bully them a little bit because they're not that experienced. And hopefully we can get something out of them, like, say, Ryan Coogler with Black Panther, or whoever the 2 directors that did Captain Marvel. Yeah, that movie made $1 billion, but the direction was one of the weakest things about it. That's why they didn't bring him back for the sequel. When they announced this guy, I looked at his IMDb. He's only done like one feature film. He had mostly done like documentary type stuff and short films. So I don't know why this guy was hired in the first place. Like, just looking at his track record, I'm like, he doesn't really do any horror. Didn't seem like he had any experience with like action or anything. So I don't know why this guy was hired. They're saying he left because of scheduling conflicts. I just think it just wasn't gelling, so they got him the hell up out of there, which has happened before. The same thing happened with the guy that directed the first Doctor Strange, and then he got let go, and people was capping him like, oh, they should keep him around, and then, Sam Raimi was attacked, so then everybody, was hyped about Sam Raimi coming back. And I can see a similar thing happening with this. So I got a list of potential directors who could be a part of the Blade film. No disrespect to this guy, Bassam Tariq, but Blade is a popular black superhero. And is it really out of the realm to get a black director to direct such film? I'm not saying it needs to be a black director. The first 3 Blade films didn't have black directors, and 2 out of 3 were awesome. Speaking of which, I finally saw Blade Trinity. It's not good. It's not as terrible as, it's not a good movie, don't get me wrong. I thought it would be a lot way worse than what, it's built up to be. And it's not as god awful, but it's not good, especially by the standards of the previous two movies. But like I said, you don't necessarily need a black director to direct Blade, but it would be nice. In no particular order, but I got 5 names of potential directors. And first director, which I think is fairly obvious, is Spike Lee. Spike Lee is my first pick. And I was telling a friend of mine, I was like, Spike Lee was dope. They was like, but Spike Lee doesn't really do action. And I had to break it down to him. He's done action. He's got Inside Man, Miracle at St. Anna. The Five Bloods is an action movie in like the last, 20 minutes? It's a straight up just action movie at that point. He's done Miracle at St. Anna, which is a war film. So the guy can do action. He can do horror. Tales from the Crypt. Not Tales from the Crypt, Tales from the Hood. And some other weird movies he's done that has some sort of horror elements to it. So he can definitely, not Son of Sam, what was the movie, Summer of 78 or some shit like that, which was about Son of Sam. Anyway, he can do action, he can do drama, he can do intensity, he can do horror. He's also a named director whose name has popped up before in the superhero genre. I believe he was rumored to be attached to some Sony bullshit X-Men project, not X-Men, Spider-Man adjacent project. So Spike Lee would be dope. He's a name actor, give him a budget, he can, be fun, be cool. I think him and Mahershala Ali has worked before. Delroy Lindo is a part of the cast. He's playing, if I'm not mistaken, he's essentially playing the Whistler character. So you got that in right there with Spike Lee and Delroy Lindo. So I just think it would be a good fit for Spike Lee. So he's, the first name that came to my mind. Next would be, Inside Man, Miracle at St. Anna with friggin' Walton Goggins. Holy shit. Mother's Milk. What? Raphael from that new Ninja Turtles. Next on the list is Gina Prince Bythewood, who has done films like Love and Basketball. She also did The Old Guard, which is on Netflix, and she recently did The Woman King, which I did a review on, and that movie is definitely a love story, but it's also an action film. And Gina Prince Bythewood is a great director, and she's also very competent and very good at directing action. And she can do, drama. I don't know if she can necessarily done a lot of horror, but I think she can pull it off. But she can definitely do action. Not up and coming, but she's a director with some name and some with a style and with brand. So I think she would be a good fit. She's known. She's got a little bit of buzz, a little bit of controversy, but it is a named director who I think would fit perfectly well within the MCU. So Gina Prince Bythewood is another potential candidate to direct Blade. And you already saw Jordan Peele, which I saw a lot of people saying Jordan Peele should do Blade. Now, this name I'm not too excited about him being a part of the MCU. If I hadn't have seen Nope, I probably would have been more excited about it. But after seeing Nope, Jordan Peele definitely is a guy who wants to do his own thing. He has his own style. I don't know how well he would fit within the MCU machine. Not saying he couldn't do it, but he definitely knows his horror. He can do some action. He can do some thrilling stuff. He loves black male leads. So I could see Jordan Peele coming in to do Blade. Not necessarily my go-to, but I'd be fine with it. Just as long as they have a better script. Because I said this with Nope. I think he's a very competent and great director. He just needs other people helping him with his scripts. And seeing that this Blade movie has already had issues with the script, it's a little iffy. But he'd be a fine pick. Going with the horror and the action with Us, like I said, Get Out and all of that. So not a bad pick. Not, like I said, not my top choice, but solid pick. Next up, Shaka King. You're thinking, who the hell is Shaka King? Well, he directed Judas and the Black Messiah, which got a lot of awards, a lot of buzz. I wasn't blown away by that film when I first saw it, but on the second one, and I think it was just because I was in the mood when it came out, but on the second, like when I really think about it, it's a really good movie. It's about Fred Hampton and his chapter of the Black Panther Party getting infiltrated by a fucking rat and him getting set up and killed at a young age. And it has some action in it, has some good drama in it. He has a good style too. He's also friends with Ryan Coogler. So he's probably the most likely person they would get. If out of my list, he's the most realistic person, I think. And would be a solid fit as well. So Shaka King directing Blade, I can totally see it. Now, my personal pick, and this is an idea that I had years ago after I saw this film. This was before the Blade movie was a thing. The MCU Blade movie was a thing. This was before it was ever announced. But I saw this guy's movie. I believe this was his first feature film. He's part of a band. He's done music videos before, but this was his first feature-length film. It's weird as shit. It's a comedy, it's a sci-fi, but it also had surprisingly some creepy horror moments that came the fuck out of nowhere towards the end of the movie. And he had a certain style and a certain energy with the direction of his film. And I think after I saw it, I was like, you know what? He might be pretty solid for Blade. Also had some interesting CGI effects in the movie as well. A couple of, not necessarily action, but it had some fighting in it. And that director is Boots Riley. And you're thinking, who the hell is Boots Riley? Like I said, he was a part of some band. I forgot to look it up. Some group he was a part of that done music videos. But he directed the film Sorry to Bother You with Lakeith Stanfield, Tessa Thompson, Stephen Yeun, Armie Hammer, Terry Crews. I believe Forrest Whitaker did a voice in the film, if I'm not mistaken. I believe that was Forrest Whitaker's voice. The dude from the Ghosts, was it Jamari Hardwick? David Cross, Patton Oswalt. A lot of people was in that movie. Solid film. Weird as shit. One of the love story plot with Tessa Thompson kind of fell apart, but had a unique vibe to it, unique humor to it, unique vision. But he's also not that well known or that necessarily that experience as a director. So Kevin Feige could definitely try to push him around. Although he seems like a very outspoken guy, very much like a early Spike Lee. So I can see why they probably might not hire him. But seeing what he did with that movie, Sorry to Bother You, I think he would be pretty good for Blade. Now, Sorry to Bother You was this weird film. Keith Stanfield plays this young guy. It's this world where there's this big company that's essentially Amazon / Google / Facebook. It's this big conglomerate company, and a lot of people are working there for it, and it's like ruining a lot of people's jobs. There's a lot of protests about the company. He gets a job at this telemarketing company, which is a subsidiary of the big company. There's this whole thing about, when you're on the phone, you got to use your white voice. And I think David Cross was his white voice. It was Danny Glover. Danny Glover was in the film too. So basically, he gets into the company. He's viewed as a sellout because, there's a lot of protests going on. He starts moving up in the ranks, and then he finds out that the company is really this weird sort of James Bond villain-esque company where they're selling, not only are they just selling household goods, but they're selling weapons. And his girlfriend started to protest to get him. She's leaving him. That's played by Tessa Thompson. Armie Hammer is the guy that runs the company. And I guess I'm going to spoil it. Sorry. If you don't want spoilers, I'm sorry to bother you. But you find out that Armie Hammer's company is starting to replace the workers with these weird horse people. You heard me right. There's weird, horse people where they're turning humans, they're modifying them into these weird horse people to be the new labor force for the company. And Lakeith Stanfield then has to kind of become helps expose this and free them. And then they, kill Armie Hammer and they is saved or whatever. It's a weird fucking movie. But that was where the horror came in, when you actually see the horse people. It was very scary and very frightening when it comes the fuck out of nowhere. And I was like, yo, this is pretty creepy, but kind of fun. Maybe this guy could direct a Blade movie. And here we are, and I think Boots Riley could potentially be a Blade, director of Blade. And it's kind of crazy, and this has been a pattern I've been noticing. Some people may have not noticed this, but Marvel, when it comes to these Black-led projects, shit just seems to get a little weird. Now, thankfully, Black Panther made $1 billion at the box office. And sadly, Black Panther 2 has the tragic loss of Chadwick Boseman, which I think is also a potential for them to have an excuse for the movie not being on being at function at at full capacity, like them to kind of be like, well, we had to deal with this, we had to deal with that, so that's why we kind of gave you a trash product. Hopefully that's not going to be the case. Hopefully Ryan Coogler will not fall to that. But it seems like, this Blade movie seems to have been struggling for a while. They, the way they ended Luke Cage, I mean, they ended all the Netflix shows, but where it was like, the director was working on Luke Cage season 3, then out of nowhere he just got fired. The way they handled, now they did a decent job with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but the way they've been kind of half-assedly promoting Anthony Mackie as the new Captain America, they've been, dragging their ass to really put him in the spotlight, like, this is our new Captain America. Things seem to get a little shaky with the MCU when it comes to the Black-led projects. And now that they got this inexperienced director, now he's gone, the script ain't acting right, there's 2 action sequences, the lead actor ain't feeling it. Like, hopefully they don't fuck up Blade, because Blade is one of the big pioneers of this superhero genre shit. I know a lot of people tend to forget that, but Blade was the start. If Blade didn't pop off, and it set the trend, Matrix would have been a little bit different. X-Men definitely would have been different. Spider-Man would have been different. So Blade really was the catalyst that set all this shit off. So for them to then come back and give us some mid-ass bullshit, I think it's disrespectful and disappointing. I know Wesley Snipes isn't attached to this film, but I think just to get a little goodwill, he should pop up in the film as some sort of character. Just a cameo as something. I think that would be nice. Also, another way to get some goodwill on your side. But, I don't know what the story is going to be. There was rumors that Anthony Starr, aka Homelander, might be Dracula, which, I don't want to see Dracula. I think Dracula's a little overdone, especially with Blade. It's like, the last movie had Dracula and it was fucking terrible. Me personally, this is an idea I've always had. They should do the villain Baron Blood. The reason I say do Baron Blood is because Baron Blood, he was a Nazi, although I guess in the MCU that would make him, he was Hydra. He was a vampire, so he's lived throughout the years. And as a way for what we've seen in the MCU with the way, Hydra has been a thing, Hydra's kind of gone away. It'd be also another way to attach Blade to something that's already been pre-established within the MCU. You can have a flashback. That was the other reason why I wanted it. You can have a flashback to World War II, a flashback of Captain America, or even Bucky in the Howling Commandos doing some sort of mission, having to deal with Baron Blood. Here he is. Weird fucking character, but he's, vampire, Nazi, friggin' Hydra. You can then bring in the flashback of Captain America or a flashback, like I said, of Bucky, and that can lead into present day. This ancient evil is still around. Blade's been trying to fight him, and now he's fighting the guy. Like, I would rather see a character like Baron Blood, and you can do other weird shit with him. You can't do Morbius right now because he's stuck in Sony or whatever. Deacon Frost, I mean, they could bring back Deacon Frost, I guess. Potential villain. Apparently, it was rumored that the movie is going to be about Blade. It's going to be a lot of flashbacks of his life since he's been born, and apparently he's training some young girl who's going to be a new vampire hunter who I believe is a vampire like him. I don't know if she's half human or anything like that. That sounds kind of mid. I don't need to see a Blade movie where he's already training the next generation. Like, can I just get a Blade movie doing Blade shit? Like, I don't want to see him already in his first movie passing the torch. You know what I'm saying? That's just weird. And that sounds kind of lame. So hopefully they'll not do that. But yeah, this Blade shit is kind of disappointing, but that's where we are with the MCU. So hopefully they'll get it together. I think, like I said, Shaka King, Bruce Riley, Jada Prince Bythewood, Spike Lee, even Jordan Peele, I think are all solid candidates to potentially take over the role of director for Blade. But y'all let me know who y'all think would be a good fit for Blade in the comments. Damn, I didn't even put those up there. Yeah, do right by this man. You know what I'm saying? Do right by the brother. Do right by this brother here. This is Blade. I want to see this. Mahershala Ali is dope as shit. I saw him in True Detective Season 3. If you haven't seen True Detective Season 3, dope as shit. He was awesome in it. Playing playing Purple Haze. I forget him and friggin' whatchamacallit was in it too. Stephen Dorff, who played Deacon Frost. I didn't know Stephen Dorff was such a good actor. He's so good in that show. True Detective season 3. Check it out. It's dope as hell. Dope as shit. But yeah, let's not botch this, guys. Let's not botch this shit right now. Get it together, Kevin Feige. Don't you fucking ruin this, all right? Do not ruin it. Be on your ass. So anyway.